as we get ready to go. I gotta... Okay. 5. And... I am ready. Pop out the chat. Getting everything going. Yabba dabba doobie. Doobie 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 doo. Okay. Hello everyone. Yes. I am here. I have a fur ball in my lap, but it's not the one you think. It's the one that's normally here. And we're getting ready to do a sculpt for Patreon. As soon as he shows up, and we can actually start asking questions about what exactly he's wanting me to make. So, just as a side note, you might notice I have an additional shelf up here, and that's where I've started putting my giants. You know, like the back over here, you probably can barely see it, is the new print of Grendel. The resin print of Grendel. Yes, I got a photon's working. Yay. Since right now I'm the only one actually watching, this means that you are now watching. You're out to me on YouTube after the fact. So you know, like, subscribe, bell icon, the whole usual bit. And like I said, as soon as the patron gets here, we'll be getting ready to start doing sculpting. And alrighty, let me make sure I've got everyone, you know, let everyone know that I'm live. Copy. Here. Live. And hello, Ice Wolf Incorporated. And one thing that's interesting is that you know, right down here you see that it's episode 98. Tuesday will be episode 100. I've done 100 of these. Hey, buzz butt. Alright, come on. Come on, baby girl. Yes. Put you back up here. Yes. Come on. Good girl. Alright, and hello, Kim. I don't... Shinju? No. Baby girl. See, Carlton isn't the only unusually affectionate cat I have. She's just usually asleep. Do you mind? Yes. I could have cake, but Shinju? No, Shinju. Someone just wants to be in Daddy's lap. Meow. Anyway, now like I said, Carlton's not the only unusually affectionate cat that I have. Well, we are waiting on Haldane Creations. He's this morning's patron. Now here's the thing. I may or may not have a patron sculpt this evening. If I don't, then I'll be doing something. If I do, then the something I would be doing will be done on Tuesday. And what that is basically setting up a sculpt as a sprue, or setting up a sculpt to be multiple pieces, so if you want you can move the arms, have them in different angles and positions, you know, do the robot. That sort of thing. By the way, how does my new microphone sound? It's Anyway, but yeah. So we're waiting on Haldane. Haldane, I know, is an old name. But just imagine if Hal 9000 had the personality of a Viking. Well, the advantage of multi-pose models is you can also do things like have multiple different arms, and each arm might start off the same but like have a different weapon, have a different type of bracer, have, you know, different shoulder pads that you can place over top to hide the joint. That kind of thing. I mean, for the longest time, possibly one of the best sources of character models for D&D was this old set of miniatures for Mordheim. Let me see if I can pull up a good picture of it. Images, Mordheim, miniature box set. And basically what it was just random, you know, just various torsos, arms with different weapons, a couple different legs, multiple different heads, and you mixed and matched. And it was like the ideal Mordheim. You know, you could make almost any basic character out of it. Well, if it fit the time period. I mean, it'd be kind of hard to do an ancient Greek character or something like that. But yeah. Oh yeah. I remember the days. See, when I first started in the hobby, it was at Warhammer Fantasy Battle 3rd Edition. And a couple years before Warhammer 40k. Actually, it might have been 2nd edition Warhammer Fantasy. Either way, it was a few years before 40k. I had a Wood Elf army, an Orc army. I had a few Bretonnians, but mostly because that way I could use the, you know, the Foot Knights and the Mounted Knights as the same character on or off horse. You know, that sort of thing. Which reminds me, one of the things that I've done is I've found an old plastic Warhammer horse. And I'm going to be measuring. And in doing so, make several different mounts and some figures that will ride those mounts. So you can make those prints that are, well, let me see, go ahead. Let me get my eyeballs on. This would be a lot easier if I didn't have a cat in my lap and could actually stand up. Yeah, here we go. These guys. I'm sure you've all seen these on Thingiverse and the like. You know, basically various types of mounts that have these gaps here. So you can take, oh, I don't know, let's just grab a random figure that turns out to be a goblin. And, you know, have your goblin riding the horse. I'm sure you've all seen these guys on Thingiverse and the like. Well, imagine just actually having mounted figures. There was actually a line that was put out by, I believe, Raul Partha in the mid-'80s. That was, you had a given character in 3 stages. You know, like 1st, 2nd level, 7th or 8th level, 18th level plus. And they also had mounted versions. So you had like the 4th level character and 4th level character on a pony, fighter, wearing chainmail with a sword and a shield. Then you have your 10th level fighter wearing, plate, standard full plate with a nice shield and a really fancy sword, riding on a horse with full armor. And then you had the 20th level character with, spikes and flowing archaic runes and this powerful sword with flickering stuff up the side, riding on a horse that had smoke streaming from its eyes and fire from its mouth and spikes all over the armor, and yeah. Going, that sort of thing. That would be an interesting little combo set to do. So, an interesting concept to revisit. Go back and take a given character and make it, early, medium, experienced, that kind of thing. Almost like how, alright, let's say Elder Scrolls Online. You make someone, and he's got the Nord heavy armor. And he's 1st level, and he's got very basic armor. And as he goes up a level, boom, jumps up, the design changes instead of just the color. And then he jumps up later on, he gets to the peak, design changes again. So yeah, it's great for roleplay. It's alright for collecting army types. So like if you want an elven army, I mean, yeah, you could mix the 1st level and the second and the 1st tier and 2nd tier into your unit of spearmen, but that top tier is almost certainly a hero or a commander type. But yeah. That's another possibility, Ice Wolf. But not everyone has, I'd have to sit there and order magnets. The kind of magnets that would work are just not easy to find around here. I've tried. Anyway, but yeah. Meanwhile, I have a... Yeah, come on, Fuzzbutt. Can I get you back up onto your bed? Come on. You heard me. Hey. Shinju. Don't sit down on my mouse. Alright, there you go. Do you mind? Hey, little fuzzbutt, do you mind? Good girl. Yeah, so, like I said, we are waiting on Haldane. Well, what you could do in order to keep things like specific paint mixes you make during the paint job the same is simply, just paint all 3 of them at once and have the one you're playing now and then the other in reserve. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna poke my head into Patreon and see if he's responded. On messages. Okay. But yeah, one thing I've got to do, I gotta get a new blade for my X-Acto knife because I'm out of X-Acto blades. I think there might be one left somewhere. I don't know where the box went. One of those little plastic foldy boxy things with the blades in it, and I don't know where it went. It's not down here. So where could it be? Wait a minute, what's that? Oh. It's a battery. But yeah, basically, I'm not going to take the same risk. I has resin Grendel. Resin Grendel. And hello, Andrea. Resin Grendel is sitting and waiting for a priming, but before I can prime, I've got little itty bitty bits that I need to really use an X-Acto knife to trim. Because I want him to have warts, but only the warts that I actually sculpted on him, not the warts from supports. I am based in Memphis, Tennessee. Help me information, get me Memphis, Tennessee, etc. And if you say walking in Memphis, I will howl in outrage. I hate that song. Oh, yes, it's just to show you. Resin versus FDM. I will be priming and painting the resin version. And I currently have on the bed right now, printing Roland and Beowulf, and I will be also painting them. They will be ready probably about 4:30. It's 1:15 here. And like I said, we are still waiting on Haldane. Nerf. Okay, I gave him the link. Excellent. You know, people, English can't keep straight what to call people from, what to call the Netherlands / Holland, what to call the people from there. They're Dutch, but there's nothing, but Deutsch is the word for German in their language, and this get all sorts of confusions. English is weird. Anyway, so yeah, I just gave him the link, so he should be here just momentarily. Yep. Hey, it's better than being called the High Country, man. Man, that's Amsterdam, dude. Hello, Haldane. Okay, so Haldane, what exactly did you want me to make for you for your sculpt? Because you are now here and you are now ready for the conversation and for the actual sculpting and the stuff and the making and the doing and the stuff and the things and the yeah, that kind of stuff. By the way, say hi to Shinju. And the stuff and the thing and the whatchamacallit with the thingy, and you want the stuff and the who's it and the what's it and the cost and the stuff and the going the weedy. As if you couldn't tell, I'm just a wee bit tired. Which means I get loopy. If I'm sleep right, I get loopy. But it does not affect my sculpting, thankfully. It just sculpts, it just affects what comes sculpting out of my brain. In through my mouth going... It's like I get possessed by Robin Williams or something. It's a little bit of, you know, the old days back when he was doing the Mork from Mork, you know. Then again, very few people even remember Mork from Mork, which is really a shame because it was really fun. And it's the whole reason why, at one point, that Robin Williams actually went out and marched on the field in full costume with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Anyway, so yeah, so what do you want me to sculpt for you today? Face design from pictures is a lot harder than it sounds, especially at miniatures. Ask Paul Rudd about his Iron Man action figure. Okay. A dragonborn dead or crushed under a pile of rocks. Let me guess, that's your character and he died last week? Okay, so what I need to do for this... I still need to know what he's wearing. He's obviously not going to be having a weapon of any kind. But I need to know, is he going to be wearing, like, you know, armor? Is he wearing tunic and breeches? What kind of boots? Is he going to be face down or face up? Is it even going to matter because only his lower half is poking up from the rocks? Or is his upper half going to be like, with, like, rocks burying him? By the way, there is about a 10 to 15 second lag on YouTube, so it takes that long for me to respond if you type in. He is in armor. What kind of armor? Face up. I'm sorry, I am a follower of the Adnamode School of Superhero Costume Design. No capes! Unless you do the smart thing and put Velcro on the side. Somebody gets yanked and someone goes yank. He goes, and you turn and go, that wasn't nice. Dark! Chainmail and pauldrons, that's the shoulder plates. Okay, what kind of Dragonborn is he? What color? You know, is he red Dragonborn? The reason I need the color for Dragonborn is it affects the head ornaments, the horns, and in some cases the facial shape. He's a red. Okay. Well, just to double check. Let's go to red. Let's go to red. Okay, so for the most part, a red dragon just has kind of fins coming back and two big horns coming off his brow. Okay. That tells me what I need. So... no, it's a dragon drink holder. Rawr. To be exact, it's the same kind of dragon as my hunting drake. Anyway. Yes. So, the next thing that we're going to do then is we're going to go ahead. I'm going to close that. And we are going to There we go. This is Daz Studio. Daz Studio does come with their own pre-rigged content, but this is my model. I modeled this in 3D Studio Max and rigged it in this program for the sole purpose of being able to do whatever I want with the geometry. For example, let's say I wanted to make them undead, dwarf, hobgoblin, ogre, reptile man, turtle without shell, or more importantly here, dragonborn. Notice that he is bigger and taller than the average human figure. Now, is his lower half or upper half going to be caught in? I meant to click on this. Is the lower half or the upper half caught in the rocks? Lower half. Okay. And what we're going to do now is we got him selected. We're going to click on those dragonborn horns because they include a little fin. We're going to detail them a little bit more, and then we're going to put on the tiefling horns. Tiefling horns, we're then going to translate up just a bit and then back a little. That's the basics for Red Dragon. Actually, we can go ahead and take the Dragonborn horns. I'm going to rotate them a little bit back like this. A little bit down. Just a little, no. A little bit down. That's too far. -0.8. Sometimes you got to do it manually. A little bit forward. There we go. This will be our Red Dragon head. So in order to make it actually on his head, we grab them and drag them up over here onto the head, and now they're parented. So now, when we bend and move the head, the horns go with it. Okay, now, we're not going to need to worry about anything from here down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just side to side them. I'm going to bend them a little bit forward and bend the feet completely under. The reason for this is because it's to prevent clipping. Now, symmetry, left to right. Okay. And I'm going to grab the foot and bend that way. So, symmetry, right, accept. Okay, now we're going to hit Control D to drop them to the floor. Now the next question is, do you have a preferred pose for underneath these things? And once again, You have a preferred pose for his upper half here. Like, is he just that? Or is he like... Okay. Then, do you want it humorous or dramatic? Okay, so kind of a humorous then. Okay, the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to rotate the hips just a little because we actually want these to have a little bit of counter twist. Okay, now we're going to take this shoulder, we're going to bring it up a little. We're also going to twist it a bit. We're going to twist this a bit more. And let's look at it from the right hand side and make sure that we're doing this. Okay, we need to bring it back just a little bit more. And we need to, let's twist it. That's a bit too much. I want it about there. And then there. Now we're going to twist the neck and come forward with the neck so that we can then twist it side to side and try to get it roughly kind of flattened out onto the ground there. And we're going to bend it back and on the side to side it somewhat, twist it some more. That's too much. We're going for the left view. Make sure we're doing this. Okay, we need to take the shoulder, or collar rather, and bring it forward. Twist it even more to there. And then... okay. Okay, now we need to side the head. And the neck needs to twist a little. Okay. That is him. Now, what I'm going to have to do, because of another program I'm going to have to use, I'm going to pop back here for a minute. Okay, now I'm going to open up the program, and it takes forever to load, so we're going to be here for a moment. As you can see, Fuzzbud is already asleep again. And she's having a good nap, because a good dream, because the tip of her tail is flapping. If it was wagging from back here, there'd be a problem, but it's happening up here. So she's having a good dream. It's okay, baby girl. Okay. Yeah, dramatic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with a very basic shape for the pile of rocks on his lower body. Alright, I'm going to assume these are more like large boulders and not so much like little itty bitty gravel. He didn't get crushed by a load of gravel, did he? Or did he have like a boulder land on him and shatter around him? Mm-hmm. Large rocks thrown by a giant. So he's got something in common with the figures I made back on Thursday. Oh, I'm sure you've seen it. You know, the guy up top here. Squish. From left to right, that's thud, squish, and boot. Giant attack casualties. It's a tragedy. And yes, I use this every day. I designed it about 2 years ago. No, about 2.5 years ago. Wow. Oh, no, about 2 years ago. I printed the first version on an old crappy G-Tech. That's G-E-E-E Tech i3 clone. That's horrible. This one was printed on trusty CR10 with Ziltech dark blue filament. Okay. I'm going to go back here. And what we're going to do, we're just going to export this completely. File. Oh, wait a minute. No, there's one thing we got to do first. File. Import. What kind of terrain was this that it happened? Where were you fighting the giants? Fields, forests, hills, city. Ice Wolf, if you go to my Thingiverse and then find my find this, it's near the very beginning. You'll see that there are remixes, and there's at least one remix that has completely smoothed off the dragon. And you could put runes on it, you could put a dwarven carving, whatever. Okay. So we're going to use kind of a rocky base then. This is a rocky terrain, huge base. Now, from the front view, lower at there. Perspective. Okay. We're then going to move it like that. And because of this, we can now do things like tweak the position of this hand. Just a little bit, so it's almost completely in, but not quite. And this one we're going to rotate. Or twist. And bend forward tips of those fingers. Okay. So there is the fallen Dragonborn on in the kind of rocky ground that he was in. What you could always do is, after you print it, we have that little rock pile here. Actually, let's make this a little bit smaller, because whoa, wrong one. The reason why I'm doing it 66.666 is because that way it's got this the base size of a large figure and not that of a huge figure. Make sure we got them on. Yeah, there we go. Actually, no, we need to pull it back this way and rotate it. There. Now let's zoom in here. And we're going to have to pull this hand down a bit more. And then bend the fingers. There we go. What you can always do is, after you print it, you can put some flock on the base. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to hide this. We're going to export this. Export. This is going under Free Sculpt Miniatures, Patreon Minis, New. Does this Dragonborn have a name? The reason I ask is because it's easier to have the file names have a character name. Talon. Okay. Let's call him Talon DB for Talon Dragonborn. Talon DB body. Accept. Then we're going to hide him and his horns and that. And we're going to make the base. File. Export. Talon DB base. Accept. And we're going to go back over to 3D Studio Max. We're going to import those. The reason why they are separate, by the way, is so that I can sculpt on one without affecting the other. 3D printing home. Meshes. And Patreon Minis. New. Talon DB body. This is just to get us an idea on where to place this geometry. Import Talon DB base. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to have one large piece covering the center, but we're going to have almost a torus of rock around him. Okay? So what we're going to do with this is we're actually going to start with a sphere instead of a torus. And we're going to center it right here. Then, double poly, we're going to take these vertexes, drag them down, so that's where we're going to be putting the big rock. Let's go ahead and take these, Y scale of 0 to flatten them out, and then bring them up inside the base. Then we're going back to another sphere. We're going to increase the segments just to make it a little bit smoother. Now, it doesn't look great, but what's going to happen, attach this. Now, I'm going to use a nice nifty little trick in 3D Studio Max called an FFD box. That means freeform deformation. I can now come in and, well, first of all, let's hit Z to center it. Let's grab, well, let's say all of these vertexes, and I can then kind of stretch them out that way. And then I'm going to grab these guys, pull them straight. This guy is going to come like that. This guy is going to come like that. Now, I'm going to select these top ones, and kind of bring them in, and I'm going to collapse it. I really should go ahead and detach this now, and we're going to turn off the selection mode, and we're going to FFD 2x2. Oh, wrong one. I need to select this, not the piece. FFD 2x2. Control points. Grab this one. Okay, it doesn't look like much now, but that's because this is just raw geometry. Let's go ahead and hide unselected. File, export selected, wavefront OBJ. We got to use the OBJ format because we're working with ZBrush, and it doesn't. It tends to not like some of the other formats. DB rock pile. Export. Done. And now we get to move to ZBrush. Alright, now we're going to import Patreon minis, new DB body, and draw. With edit turned on. Subtool. Append, Polymix 3D, and we import the rock pile. Then we're going to append Polymix 3D. We're going to import the base. What we're going to do with the base is we're going to start off, we're going to subdivide the base a couple times. Mostly because we want to, oh no, I shouldn't. Yeah, that's right. So, undo that, undo that, undo that. Dynamesh! 640 will do. And you can see the orange bar taking forever. Oh, it's moved a bit. It's moving from 19,966 to 2.04 million. Okay, good. Now we're gonna hide it. And we're gonna focus on the body. What we're gonna do, we're going to geometry. We're not going to Dynamesh yet. We're going to subdivide it there. We're going to hide the rock pile. And then we're going to use what's called polygroups. Auto group. What that does is that things that are separate geometry, like these horns, are in and of themselves separate now. I'm doing this because I really should. Oh, no. Let's do it this way. forgot that he has eyes. And a piece of geometry that needs to hide. There and there. Now we're going to select those. And we're going to separate them for right now. Split masked parts. There, now it's just a different tool. Alright, now, next thing is, it's time to make his male hauberk. So, was it a long sleeve hauberk or a short sleeve hauberk, and did he have bracers? You know. And hello, Emilio! Hey, Mark! And Mark, for a second there, I thought you said entire farm is making cookies. Bracers and short sleeves. Okay. So what we need to do now is I just need to shrink this and time to figure... What did I... Oh, knee bones. I hate my knee bones. The Wacom tablet. And of course, you know... not that. No, that. Hey. I need to be able to see it. Stylus. The stylus with style. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and... Oh. Shift, focal shift down. Forgot that. I'm going to bring these up to here. There will be a few bits that will not be properly attached, but we'll get to those. Okay. Just so I can see how far down to go. We're going to go down to here. Hauberk would normally be much longer, but, well, it's underneath the rock. I'm also going to kind of bring in that. Okay. Now what we're doing is, where I am masking off this gray part is going to be his hauberk. Alright? Now I don't need quite this much hauberk on the back, because this is going to be going into the base. But it's good practice, and this will be shrink this. I'll show you how to get rid of an error that didn't need to be there. Okay, now, in a frame, we're now going to extract this 0.01. No, 0.02, yeah, that'll do. Extract. Accept. Then we're going to draw here to deselect, and then we're going to draw to deselect on the body. Now here, we're going to do something else. We're going to hide the body first. We're going back down to polygroups, and we are going to auto group. Now I hit Control Shift, click that, click it again, and these pieces right here all are extra. So we're going to split masked parts, select that particular group, and we're going to delete. Oh, we need to go back up. Now, the next thing is we are not going to Dynamesh it yet. Sorry about that. We are going to do what's called a Z-remesher. So right now this is the only group here. So, Z-remesher. The difference between Z-remesher and Dynamesh mostly has to do with how it reacts to intersecting surfaces. Well, there's two primary: intersecting surfaces and polygon shape. Dynamesh will always create square quads with as even a surface area as possible. Z-remesher will give special attention around edges and reinforce them. Then, where there's overlaps, Dynamesh will try to blend them into a single surface. Instead of being like this, they'll become like that. Whereas Z-remesher keeps that. Why did I do that? I just thought of how I could have handled this. Alright, Z, undo. Alright, now this is 833 polygons. We're going to export it as Talon Raw Tunic. And now we're going in here. File, import, Talon Raw Tunic. Now, what we're going to do, once it loads, this will take a while. I have an old computer. We are going to select edges. If it will let me, come on, slow. Because one thing you'll notice is that the extrusion caused these edges to be really, really long. And then we're going to hit ring. And delete. Now we're going to do the same thing up here to the neck. So this is the problem with trying to deal with 1 point some odd million triangles in 3D Studio Max. It's not exactly in the best of condition. Oh, come on. Okay. Don't do this. Yeah, I'm about to crash 3D Studio Max. Ain't it grand? Alright. Yay. So much for 3D Studio Max. I crashed it. Yep. Well, I've got to reload 3D Studio Max. Yay! Because it can do this, and I don't have anything else at the moment that can, and I don't know how to do it in ZModeler. ZModeler is mostly Boolean operations, from what I understand. So, yeah. Okay. Loading, loading. Takes forever to load. Okay, it's loading. Okay, let's try it again. Import. 2D printing home. I know what to do. Do this. There we go. Ring. And delete. With only one view to worry about, it's not as bad. Okay, so this should be the neck piece. Ring. Yep, that's the neck. And let's go back here. We're going to need to use this one to get the sleeves. Okay. Ring, delete, V, and come over here. Click here. Ring, delete. Now I switch to objects because now this is actually two separate objects because I have just severed the connection between the inside and the outside. So, I'm going to select the inside. No, 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 no. What is still connected? Z. Let's see if we can figure out where it's still connected. Alright, let's do it this way. I'm going to select here. Now I've got to do, all of them are going to be wireframe, do not shade selected faces, all viewports. Okay. Oh, this is taking way too much time. Alright, how about this? I'm going to select all of the outer edges. To a polygon, delete. Now let's see if we can select just the inside. No. Okay. Select all the edges. Over to polygon. Let's increase it just a little bit. Grow, grow, grow. And now we delete. And now let's see if I can select just the inside. No. Okay, forget this. We're going to try a different method. Alright, subtool. Delete. Go back to him. We're going to go back one step up here. We're going to try it again. We're going to try something different. Extract. Accept, draw, draw. Now we're going to select the actual pieces. Okay, now zoom out. Let's select all of this. And we are going to masking, inverse, visibility, hide point, geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. Okay, now we're going to Z remesh. I'm going to turn on this so we can see the polygons and Z remesh. What was happening is we had so much that was crossing over that it was having problems. Alright. And real quick, we're going to spin around. Okay, much better. And we're now going to go back to modified topology and delete hidden. We're going to Z remesh. And we're going to go turn on half. We're going to turn off adaptive. And we're going to start doing it in half again and again until it's really roughly. Yeah, and we're going to smooth here. And here. Now, this is going to get one last time. Same though. To clear up this area. There we go. Now we're going to export it. Actually, no, let's go ahead and make sure that we've got it. Okay, we're going to use the move tool. We're going to move parts of it. For example, we're going to grab this and bring it, oh, not that. We're going to grab this and bring it out like that. This up. This out. Okay, then we're going to export it. Again, as the raw tunic. Now I'm closing this. We're going to open a program called UV Layout. And this is how I can turn this into a male hauberk. We're going to load no, not orcs. Patreon minis. New raw tunic. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to cut certain parts of it. Now, okay, now we're going to hit enter. Oh no, not yet, not yet. We're going to hit W there. And we're going to hit enter. And the sleeve comes off. Yay! It's not actually coming off, this is just virtual. We're cutting the sleeves off because we want to have the sleeves be going in a different male direction than the chest. And now we're going to hit D to drop these two. Now we're going to hit Shift D to close that, and then we're going to click there and there and split them front in half. Now, Shift F, that's good. Shift F, not good. Hit Control D to drop it back out, and E to go back in here. Okay, what? Why didn't it? Oh, I see why it didn't. Because technically it didn't fully cut. There we go. Now we drop it. And alright, we're going to move some of these vertexes individually because they need to. Okay. We're going to move these. We're going to rotate them so that the blue edge, which is the pre-cut edge, is near the bottom. Okay. Now, we're going to rotate these. Hit F, just right. Okay. Now we're going to select both of those, optimize. Alright. That's a problem. So I should F. There we go. Now we're going to move this over. I'm going to move a couple of these vertexes just because the underarm's not as important for the male as the chest is. Okay, home. Now we're going to use pack. Best, a little bit of bleed space, and pack. Okay. Now we're going to close that. We're going to auto fit and save all. Save. Dismiss. You're dismissed. Now I'm going to import tunic back in. Doesn't look any different, but now it's got what's called UV mapping, which we can use for turning this into chainmail. We're going to subdivide until it's really, well, that's a bit, no, that's about right. Really high res. We're going to then kind of grab it and pull it out of that part of the body. Now, we go to surface. Click on UV, alpha on or off, and we are going to our alphas. We're going to select chainmail. Take the noise down a lot, make the strength maximum, and now we've got to reduce the scale until it looks like it would print well. Which really and truly you're not going to be able to tell from here yet. We can tell it's got to be stronger, larger than that. So about a 0.18. That might be a little small, so 0.2. There we go. Okay. Now just to see if it's done right. Go back. Alright, so then we're going to mask by noise. And then masking inverse. Zoom out. Yeah, we'll see it. That's about right for printing. Actually, there we go. Inverse. Now we go to deformation. And we inflate. Come on. Oh, no wonder it wasn't inflating. Too much. Okay, then we're going to masking, inverse. I'm going to deflate a little bit. Okay, so -2. Then we're going to draw, and we're going to inflate just a little bit. Oh, too much. That's good enough. Okay. Now we frame back. That's the male. But we need to do two other things. We need to actually load in a second copy now. But this one is totally different purpose. First things first, we need to take this Talon tunic. I'm going to hide it. This Talon tunic we're going to move up. And we're going to subdivide it a bit. Delete lower. Then we're going to shrink this mouse. What am I doing? I got a better way to do it. We'll come back to the second one in a minute. Let's go ahead and delete this. Okay, so that's where the chainmail is. Oh, and geometry, delete lower, and Dynamesh at 768. Okay. Now we're going to hide the tunic. Said hide the tunic, not the body. And we're going to draw on where his pauldrons are going to be. Now what we're going to do is we're going to just do the same thing we did before. We're going to shrink the mouse a bit though. And hold down Control. We're going to draw on this shape for the pauldron. We obviously don't need a very detailed back pauldron. We're going to fill it in. And gonna go, actually we need to come up there and then use that to sharpen the edge. And then the bracers will be the last thing we do before refining. Oh, I gotta... Okay. This will be extracting at 0.04. 4, not 5. Extract. Accept. Draw. Draw. Hide the body. And now what we're going to do, this time we are going to go ahead, because of what we're getting ready to do, we're going to auto group. Select that one, hide it. Select that one, hide it. Select. Actually, Geometry, delete hidden. And we're going to dynamesh these. At 256 from underneath the chin there. Alright, and same thing with this, we need to pull this out. Now, we go to the curve tube, stroke, and under curve functions you'll see frame mesh. I click that and it suddenly gets curves. I click on one of these curves. Oh, that's too big. So we can shrink the mouse. Because of the size of the curve mesh, that will probably be good. Yep. And then we do it over here. Okay, now that we've done that, just to make sure it would work, we're going to split masked parts. And then split masked parts. Then we're going to merge those two together. And we're going to geometry, we're going to subdivide it a couple times. And we're going to merge them down with that. We then go to the move tool, make it a little bit bigger, and kind of drag it away from the mouth. The mouth that accidentally did that. Okay. Now we got this back open. We're going to go ahead and import the tunic again, but this time it's a much smaller tunic. And this time we're going to select all three of these, well actually that one, and that one. Convert them to polygons, add that one right there. Hit Control I and delete. Now we are going to select that vertex. I'm going to relax that vertex. There. And we're going to shell. Actually, no, let's not shell. Let's leave it as it is. File, export selected. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Gotta select this one. No, that's that one. Never mind. I'll be able to fix it when we get in. I'll fix it in post. File, export selected. In front of OBJ. 3D printing home. Meshes and face sculpts. Patreon. New. Talon trim. Export. Done. Okay. Now, we're going to, let's go ahead and use insert polymesh. Same thing as a pen, but it puts it where we are instead of at the end. Import, Talon trim. It doesn't look like much, does it? Oh well. Well, here's what's going to happen. We're going to use geometry to subdivide it to about, oh wait a minute. No, we're not. Okay, now We're going to select it all. Subtool, extract, 0.2. Okay. Accept. Draw. Go back up to 1 and delete. Now here we're going to geometry, Dynamesh 128. Subdivide it a couple times. And then we're going to, first of all, we're going to polish 1. No, 5. Then we're going to inflate just a little. Okay. And we have the trim for our holoc. Just to show you, there's the rocks in place. Okay. Now we're going to hide the holoc trim and rocks. And we're going to draw on the bracers. Any preference on bracers? Like just straight up metal tubes? Or was he like epic level with bracers of protection +4 and, you know, sneeze of protection +18? Just basic, okay. What we're going to do is we're going to extract these 0.02, 0.025. Extract, accept, draw. Go to here, draw. Go to here. Geometry, Dynamesh at 256. And then we're going to subdivide it a couple times because we're going to be adding on a seam on both sides. Alright, so let's see. Which direction do I go? Nope, that's the wrong direction. Okay, that's neither one is high enough intensity. That's way too high intensity. There we go. That one. And that one. This is just to give it some kind of, you know, it's more than just a tube. Okay. Now we frame out. And for all intents and purposes, that is the Dragonborn. Now we need to make the rocks look rocky. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and polygroup it, auto-group it. Split, unmasked object. Okay, now geometry. We're going to subdivide this something fierce. Delete lower. We're also going to expand it. And then we're going to Dynamesh it to make it more even. And then we're going to subdivide it a couple times. Yeah. Now, we're going to hide everything. And we're going to polish Z-sub 100% and a big old draw size. And all we're going to do is just kind of just random chunks, some of them bigger than others. Then we're going to clay buildup, changing it to, actually no, we need on alpha 1. I'm going to lower the intensity. That's still too much. Lower the intensity quite a bit. And what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of randomly scatter over these things. This is to kind of give us just some random surface noise. No, it's still too much. Start that intensity down to 2. All right, now it's looking rather half. All right, I'll say it, half-assed. But you'll see why it works in just a minute. Okay, frame it, zoom out, go to polish just so we have the big one, and we're just gonna very carefully smooth the burr. And you see it's now all of a sudden looking a lot more rocky and not as much like a chunk of styrofoam with a marker drawn on it or something. I don't know. I'm a goofball. How would I know? There's our boulder. Now we're going to go to this. We're going to geometry. We're going to subdivide it a few dozen times. Not literally, but quite a lot. And we're going to dynamesh it at 128. And subdivide it again until it's around there. Yeah. And now we're going to have our base and our body just so that we have a references to work from. And what we're going to start with is we're going to use the clay buildup brush, but with the alpha 1, much higher intensity and much larger draw size. And we're just kind of draw out to make the individual rocks. We're going to eventually come in and add in some more detailing with the cracks brush and the what do you call it? Slash. That's it. You can see the difference already between that side and that side. And this is just a quick rough in. I'm going to bring this rock up a little bit, make it look like, hey, it's left over from the impact. And then we're going to come over here, bring it out. I have to say, being killed by the boulder tossed by a giant is not necessarily the worst death in D&D. There are some deaths out there that are utterly humiliating. I've had a couple of them. And what's more, I read an article in Dragon Magazine about some of the funniest ones. Okay, that's our basic pile of rocks. Now we're going to go ahead and switch to the slash tool. We're going to make sure to turn off lazy mouse. And we're going to go ahead and shrink this down. No, it's probably too much. We're going to... Okay, and then we're going to come around this way, and then we're going to come down and bring that around and bring it in the places that we need it. Sharpen these things, yeah. Actually, we need to make it bigger. Yeah. Okay. Hey, at least he's not just arms and leg poking out from underneath a pile of rocks, you know? And we're going to come down here, around, and this way. There. A little bit there. And now we're almost done outlining these rocks. What's going to happen is these rocks, which are not to be confused with these nuts, okay, now let's frame outwards. Okay, we're going to dynamesh them. Actually, we're gonna dynamesh at 640. That's a lot, but we're gonna do it. And that leaves us with 822,000. Let's give it one level of subdivision. And we're going to use the polish tool, but we're going to shrink it, because we don't want to take as much off these guys as we took off the big one. And all we're just going to do is just going to start sketching over them. It's going to give it a more erratic, rock-like, you know, especially where the sharp edges are. It's already looking not like a donut, more like a pile of rocks. Now all I'm doing is I'm kind of tapping on the tablet here. The smaller the brush for this, the less effect it has. Okay. I'm getting a little bit. Okay. Now we're going back to clay buildup. Drop it back down to 2. And drop that dry size. And we're just going to start scattering all over it. Actually, no. We need to change this back to alpha 28 just because we need that noise of the random direction change. It also gives us kind of like almost a fracture plane look. Now, I'll admit, some of this detail won't fully show, especially not on FDM. But what does show will be enough to give the implication of the rest as it fades in and out. Now, make this really big. And okay. Now let's frame out. Make everything visible. And we have dead talon. Maybe if we go down here to the base, let's go back to clay buildup, drop that draw size to about there. Increase the intensity to about there and change it back to there. We're going to go ahead and draw on a couple random rocks. Just in case, we make sure we don't go too far. Auto masking, backface mask. Okay. Okay, then we're going to slash, and we're going to draw around these rocks. I'll also make sure that we have this backface mask. This. Oh, no, because we accidentally got it in this little circle we drew. We don't want that. We want it just around. No, just around the rock. And then one around here. And now we go back to polish. And we're going to shrink it down a bit, because what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of... Oh, that's still too big. Just kind of... No, it's not big enough. Just going to kind of draw on some hard edges on these guys to make them a bit more rocky. We're not going to do anything else because they've kind of got everything else we need. And come around this way and just fill in some further chunks taken out. And then come down to the sucker and add some here. Okay, and we frame out. And we have what should be pretty much the end of our dead Dragonborn. So, let's go ahead and start merging things down. Alright. Now, if you are printing this in resin, I would recommend printing it at an angle because really big flat surfaces tend not to print well. Now, we are going to geometry. We're going to Dynamesh this at 768. If you are printing this on FDM, don't forget to put a support underneath each of the thumbs and this horn. We have 3.568 million polygons. That's way too much. So what we're going to do, we're going to see plugin. We're going to decimation master. This is a big sucker. Let's make it 150,000 triangles. And let's see how this does. Oh, computing, please wait. I hate it when it does that. Ah! Smooth a bit. Dynamesh. 3.598 goes to... $3.593. And poke my head in here. Share a photon with us? Did you say share a photon with us? I would hope you mean photograph, not a photon. Is that what you meant? Ah, here it is. Oh, let me move this. That's not it. I got a lot of my basing supplies right here. Alright, here it is. A little bit of green flock. And that'll be the grassy area parts. Yes, little baby girl. He's your baby. This is part of why I love my kitties. They're so sweet and affectionate. And they love their daddy. Yeah. Oh heck, computing, please wait. Come on, what's the matter? Alright, let's drop this resolution from 768. First of all, let me go ahead and smooth underneath just to, so I can say I did something. Let's drop this to 700. We want to try and get this down before we start doing the... Now remember, this is going to be a 50 millimeter base. Okay. What that means is it's going to be roughly twice the size of a regular figure. Now, 75K. Now, was your brain on photon or was your autocomplete on photon? And is it because you do 3D printing or is it because you do physics? Because physics rocks. Okay, looks like it's going to do it this time. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Yes, it's going to do it, and it's going to go from 3 million to about 150,000 triangles. It's right up top, kind of right here. I don't know if you can see the mouse or not. Reordering. Computing, please. No, don't. Yeah. Smooth. Change resolution to 640. Dynamesh. When it says computing, please wait, that means that the decimation scripts failed. Okay, 2.4 million. Now let's try it. 75K. This is the most frustrating part, because you get this far in, you're done with the sculpt, you just need to make it printable. Because trying to get 3 million polygons into most slicers is like trying to fit Andre the Giant into a Triumph TR7. As I go totally 80s on you. Well, 80s and 70s, really. But Triumph TR7 was like the itty bitty teeny tiny used sports car that most high school seniors drove when I was a kid. Well, if they didn't drive a Camaro. Other than that, they didn't drive sports cars because they couldn't afford them, and they had like a Ford Escort or that really, really, really crappy mid-90s Mustang. That was, oh, thank God. It got past it, yay! And now we're going to go from 2.487 million polygons. I can't look. Yay! 150,527. That's a whole lot easier to print. And if this is on a photon, you will see this rock texture on here. So now we're going to go ahead. We're going to make sure that's undone. We're going to export as Talon's dead body. And there we go. Hey. It's done. Haldane, if you're on the Discord, DM me your email address so I can send this file to your email So you will have it a week before anybody else. Thank you. The big trick is do the hardest stuff ahead of time. The stuff that you will do for everything. In this case, the base humanoid geometry. I did that back in April. And I rigged it. And, whoa, I've got one. Seriously, this one hair. I got a wild hair. No, it's still there. How can I? Alright, let's... There we go. Hey, 23andMe, here you go. But yeah, if you are on the Discord, DM me your email address so I can email this to you. If it ends up being too big for whatever reason, but my email won't send it, then I'll send you a Dropbox link. Yeah, I did mention I was somewhat sleep deprived, right? I know somebody who hasn't been in here all day. We haven't seen Carlton. Excellent. Okay. Well, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hold up my hand as usual. It is 3:02, so that actually took right... for a while there I was afraid that it was going to take a lot longer than it ended up taking to finish the sculpt. So I'm going to hold up my hand. I'm going to count from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, I'm logging out. And again, it's not when I get to 1, when I see it gets to 1 on the screen, which means it'll be about another 10 seconds. Okay, so that is going to be a 5, a 4, a 3, 2, and a 1. Goodbye. Work.